Hello, welcome everyone to today's webinar. I am Felipe D'onofrio, CTO and co-founder at Brickken, and we are here to talk about something that I think is one of the most important infrastructure development in tokenization right now. What is the ERC-7943? What is called the Universal Standard for Real-World Asset Tokenization. With me today is Claus Skaaning, CEO and co-founder of Digishares, one of the leading platforms in this space with over 200 clients globally. Klaus, great to have you here.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you for inviting me. It's a great pleasure. Like you, I support the new standards uh, deeply and have been looking for it for many years.
Yeah, totally. And we all these ERC 7943 effort have been part of this and supporting the project because you see many things that this standard will help us. But to start, I'm gonna give some technical context about uh, the ER7943 and what we have before. Before we had the ERC 1400 and the ERC 3643. Both have been serious attempts, but both have fundamentally fundamental problems. They told us how to implement the compliance, not just how to want to what we want to expose. Um, in particular, some have some identity stacks, so complicate even more the how we're gonna manage the compliance. With the ERC 7943, we flip this model and we want only to define the interface. Can send, can receive, can transfer, get frozen tokens, forced transfer, and set frozen tokens. And we leave with this standard the compliance logic entirely up for the implementer. So this compliance becomes pluggable. Plus, from your side, with Digishares running more than 200 clients across different jurisdictions, what do you think the fragmentation actually looks like in practice, for example?
Good question. So we've been waiting for the standard to actually be approved, right, and be public, which happened a few weeks ago. So our development has started on our side to support it as soon as possible. But obviously, of course, we have to implement and we have to audit the protocol, so it's going to take another few weeks, maybe a couple of months. Once we have it, we will certainly uh, have it, I would say, as the main option for all new clients. I don't see that we will continue to support the old protocol that we've been using. We've been working with 1404 for many years, and all our clients are using that now. Of course, we will have to be backwards compatible with to some degree for a couple of years, probably. But all new clients will definitely be incorporated on ERC-7943 without a doubt. And we also run an exchange, real estate.exchange in the US, which will also be supporting ERC-7943. So for longer term, that will be we will move over entirely from ERC-1404 to 7943. But it's going to take some time, of course, because we have clients
Yeah,
that are still stuck on the old protocol. In principle, the new protocol that doesn't necessarily provide more functionality, right? But it's just more interoperable with the rest of the ecosystem and generally better design standard.
yeah, totally. Is something that is needed to be interoperable and manage and allows all what we have, all the different players to interact with these assets. For many years, we have been building silos on different type of smart contracts, and that doesn't allow to these other participants on the decentralized space to know how to handle what is a compliance asset, an asset, a security asset, and this will allow us to interconnect and exchange these assets in the near future. So very exciting the news about this exchange also that they are working on uh, integrate 743 in their flows, and that is part of the what we are looking for the near future, like adoption and other participants start using this standard. And the distinction related to the conversion and the compliance. So I think is something that will help other participants to start managing these type of assets, because every platform keeps this verification by their own logics, and its own sanctions checks. So once we everyone starts speaking the same language, the integration layer, Claude, I think that the standard will be much easier to for them to integrate, right?
Yeah, I think it's what we are doing now is should really have been a no-brainer, and we should have done it many years ago. And I think I'm frankly a little bit embarrassed that none of us started to do it a bit earlier. That instead we would try to work each of us with our own protocol and that without speaking together, right, and creating something together. I think the promise and the vision behind blockchain-based systems, right, like we are both creating, is interoperability. That's a big part of what we should have been delivering to our clients, I think, for more years back in time instead of just starting now. Um,
Yeah,
and but the ecosystem didn't come together before, and I think it's about maturity and consolidation and getting bigger problems solved first before we could get to this one. So it's probably a natural progression of the industry's maturity, and now we are here finally. We're speaking together, and we are actually quite a lot of companies working together on this protocol. So I think it's the first initiative of its kind, where we don't see a single provider trying to push their own standards onto the market, but actually a large number of players, including some that are in principle competing sometimes on opportunities on the market, working together here on launching a joint protocol so that we can do what we've been promising, I think, for many years, become better
yeah,
than the existing financial services industry and actually having a global ecosystem where we are all interoperable. That's pretty exciting, I think.
yeah. This is, as you say, the progression of different efforts and intents for the standards has been piling up, and yeah, at the end we figure out and see, well, we need this interface to start like working on, because in reality is not a competition. You can use like the 3643 with the 7943 interface and allow you to do other things also. So it's not about really to compete, if to provide the tools that is needed for allow us to interconnect and and grow and distribute, and the liquidity can find place for all these assets that are in different parts, in all these silos. I hear once that in reality the biggest competition for or type of token or security tokens are the ERC-20s, because all of them was being, ERC-20s adapting, changing, modifying, and that was like all these different type of assets also around. But once we can define this interface and allow people to use it to integrate, it's going to allow a grow and with expectations to allow all these interchange of information and assets. So, and we're very excited that we finally be on the final status on the our EIP, and is that is huge. And it's almost 1 year of in working on since the first publication and starting all the discussions. And yeah, is something very nice for ones who doesn't know about or are outside of this Ethereum standard world. The final status is, well, the last step. Is almost everything done. Usually the proposals go for a draft, then a review, a last call, and then final. So right now the situation is frozen, so this cannot have any changes now. The functions, the signatures, the events, the errors, nothing gonna change. So for us at Brickken, this is the final moment when we can start safely build store production, and the other partners like Digishares knows that nothing else gonna be changed on the standard, so they can start building for production and start delivering to the clients. So it's not more a moving target, right? Um, so we was expecting for a few months. Oh, you are close to arrive to the final. Then we have to do some changes, make it more compatible, retrocompatible. Some participants say, no, we need to fix small things, namings. But yeah, it's a teamwork. It's a work around the community in Ethereum. So this is a really good news for us. I'm a CTO. I was waiting for the final stage to just start like, okay, let's go with everything for clients. So now is the moment. So now that we are reaching this final status, Claude, um, how is being your conversation, for example, other clients and institution about this moment for the 7943?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say it's actually quite rare that our clients interest themselves too much in which protocol we're using, including even the chain. But they rely on our recommendation, right? So I think from that perspective, we need to give them good recommendations, and we need to give them solid technology that is going to work for the long term and will not put them on an island, right, in the ocean. So I think we have a duty to uh, to develop the right solutions, right, and give the right recommendations, and have the right solutions in place for our clients. But with that said, we do have clients that are quite tech savvy, right, and they really see the vision, they really see the idea behind what we're doing here, and they really appreciate it, I would say. So we haven't spoken to a single person that didn't think it was a good idea. Everyone thinks it's a good idea, even people who have been using other protocols in the past uh, greatly appreciate what we're doing here, and I think that it should be the collaboration that we have here should be followed up in other areas as well. I would say there are other areas that could be made into uh, global standards for the space for the good of our clients.
Yeah, it's something that we saw the same situation with clients, like which blockchain to use, and going through what is a smart contract. We also been showcasing what is coming, like the 7943, and they're very interested that now is coming up as a final and be able to for them to have this token standard available for them. And it's something that we saw also for bigger players that they don't want to build on a beta version in some way. They're looking for some signal of stability for a long time. Um, and it's something that is going growing. Like I think it's we can make some comparisons with traditional final, like they started was Ballbean, Swift, etc. Different protocols that they they start building up on that and start growing over the time. And I think this can be also a comparison. This is just a newborn, and these other participants start using it as they share. Brickken and other participant on this workspace, and we invite everyone who is into real world assets and assets that have compliance to to join us and start building upon this standard to integrate and be able to grow as a whole, right? As distribution, liquidity, etc. Um, I think that is one of the points right now that we are in final to start pushing that in that sense, in that way. Um, I I think that a lot of times we we encounter as a company into provide like know-how for open standards. Other participants like um, looks more for controlled frameworks around. But as the nature of this space and the nature of EAP and ERCs, um, I think that for what is infrastructure, we need to move through what is these open standards, um, because when we see some proprietary compliance wrappers and integrations becomes um, very hard to make custom builds or adapt to different jurisdictions, and it's impossible for one like cover every space and jurisdiction. I can imagine how it is for you, Klaus. From your 200 clients on DigiShare, what different jurisdictions are you into at this moment?
We counted a year ago. I think we are in more than 40 countries.
40
Pretty
countries
global, all continents, I think, except the South Pole or something like that.
and Antarctica.
There's a lot of jurisdictions, right? But I think that the technology that we are both developing, right, it is so generic that it can be applied to most jurisdictions. We are asset agnostic, chain agnostic, um, security agnostic. So of course, the solutions we develop, we try to make them as generic and generalized as possible, so they can be used anywhere. And now, hopefully, with standards such as this one, we can be even more uh, generic in our application of the technology, and yeah, the users can become less locked into a specific vendor ecosystem, more able to move across the ecosystem, but also more able to get value from their tokens, right? It'll become easier to have tokens that are minted on one platform to be listed on another platform or used as collateral on a third platform, and so forth.
Okay, and we was talking about all these islands where tokens are. In the past, how many of your clients are looking for, this that we be able to do now with this standard, like integration across different um, participants or dexes? Is something common in your experience?
Very much. So one of the goals with tokenization is, of course, liquidity, right? So a lot of our clients should ask about it. And I have to say that there isn't too many liquidity options at the moment, but hopefully more will come. We're running an exchange in the US, but there are actually few regulated exchanges that can list security tokens. But I think are more and more are announced to be working on something, right? Including several of the big exchanges like Nasdaq, London Stock Exchange, and so on. They are rumored to be putting technology on the market, so it will come, and we have to get them working on ERC-7943.
But yeah, I think at the end is the deeper point is the composability, the way that we can stop being islands, and the decks, for example, can start routing uh, once they know exactly, okay, this can transfer mean this, and get frozen tokens is that, and in that way they can like, okay, all these assets that use this interface, we can manage all these compliance in the same way. Not start like guessing or integrating things and doing that for each different of these islands that exist before. Um, is, we hope that this, in this sense, um, all these other participants start understanding how to manage these compliance assets and have more clients. As you say, we have some players for liquidity, and with this, we want to see much more coming. Have you
So
been
was
in
that a
in any
question?
case, Claus? Sorry, Claus.
No, no, go ahead.
In the past, you have been trying to with clients to connect different ecosystems before the standard, different
Yeah,
proof of concepts.
I would- mostly in terms of change, right? So that's another way to be stuck on an island. At the moment, we have a lot of change. Each is trying to create their own ecosystem around their own chain. Um, a lot of them are compatible, right? EVM compatible, which helps a lot. But we also have a lot that are non-EVM compatible. And as a customer, as an issuer, you risk getting stuck on an island and not having sufficient distribution channels liquidity venues and so on if you choose at least a smaller chain. But of course, sometimes it can also give benefits. So
Totally.
I think we are moving towards a world with less chains, but also with more bridges between the chains, right? So that's something that we can work on also, I think, to make sure that it's possible to move ERC-7943 tokens easily between chains. Um, that could be an area to touch on, but also I would say the ability to handle KYC and ID in connection with the protocol. I think is heavily needed because I think several of us are also tampering with our own ideas in that space, and that's again a way for us to get our clients stuck on small islands.
Mm, is they stop being islands and start being more continents, and then global connections. Um, and something that I've been seeing on the past year, the more the past 12 months even, is more and more institutions wants to be participants on what is the tokenization. Like, okay, now understand that the blockchain will be the rails and the assets for these financial instruments. So what do you think really is like what institutions or inexperienced institutions are asking for, or what are the blockers that you see on the business side or the operational side, Claude?
I think the institutional players, the large companies, definitely are savvy enough to value or sort of they see the choosing the right protocol and chain as quite important, right? Because they are quite thorough in their business case development for adoption of blockchain technology, tokenization technology, and so on. So it's always an element in that discussion. Um, so I think that they will definitely value something like 7943, and if explained correctly what the goal is, and they will I think choose vendors that have standards that are more interoperable with the rest of the ecosystem. Um, that's what we see. We've had a few discussions, but it's nothing significant yet. But I think it's gonna go that direction.
Yeah, is this that is exactly what is I saw too on the business side, and I see also other blockers from what is the technical infrastructure side, um, and there is some friction also for them. And one of them is the integration, because when something is not standardized, so for each new token they have to do new integrations for every new service provider also. So that is one is the first for me um, problem that we address with the standard. Um, so the once we have like the same rules for all our assets, and these compliant assets, we allow now the other problem that we have technically, that it was the transferability that you say, and we repeat continuously, the silos, the islands, um, and a way that each of the participants know exactly how to understand information related to the compliance on the token itself. So in that
Yeah, I
sense,
think it's
one of the
natural.
things, yeah, I think is totally like that, and and something that with this will open for me that is very exciting also is this possibility to start building also secondary markets where we know exactly who is the participants, their KYCs, different type of decks that we know until now, and then can manage that. Let's say, no, okay, we know what is can transfer, we know what is a forced transfer in case of any custodians, and 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 then will be easier also, I think, for the accountability on and for audits related to these assets to know who is this, who have this asset frozen, who is, or what is this wallet frozen, better say, and why. and in some ways also opening all this information for what is also we are seeing on what is available to machines to read all these compliance also in the future. And who knows, automatizations, agentic economies, is exciting times, and it's really nice to be part of these new changes. I don't know if you feel like um, all these bottlenecks that we have been seeing with the islands and the different type of assets, we have these bottlenecks as the one that I just mentioned in the technical side. But we that was not only, I think the bottleneck was not only technological, was also operational, was also regulatory. I don't know if one is if is one or all the three. What do you think? What is the like the the main real blocker or for 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 that?
Yeah. So we've been building a new industry, right? So a new technology for a new industry. So obviously there will be childhood diseases and a maturity, certain maturity of the technology, right, and the ecosystem that needed to be there before we could get to coming together and developing a standard such as this one, and hopefully moving on to KYC and other areas. We've been working, I think, on, because we started quite early. I think you did too, right? So when we started, the technology itself wasn't very user friendly, to say the least. It was extremely difficult to use, and it was in many ways an uncertain and risky industry, and any users and adopters were extremely early stage pioneers. So technology was hard to use, and regulations globally were also in a state of flux, right? It was changing a lot, and you could not be certain about it, I would say, to any significant degree in the future. So you had to be very careful, I would say, on the legal side. Then I think we've been working on liquidity and distribution for the last 2 years,
Well, I think that we lost Klaus.
channels and
Okay.
exchanges and so on. But we also see the big players coming into the space and opening up their investor bases to be exposed to tokenized products. Increasingly so, you could say that the old and the new industry are getting connected. We also see the old industry moving increasingly into tokenization infrastructure. So tokenization is becoming an infrastructure, and for that to be even to increase the chance of that being successful, right, we also need to have successful standards that are interoperable and adopted across the ecosystem. So now it's our task, of course, to get the usage of 7943 increased and get more companies in the space to give up their own standards and move to 7943. I don't really see it as a very good business strategy to build your own protocol and try to get the whole world to use that, because eventually your clients will see that you're becoming an island in a large ocean. Similar to we see companies in the space even creating their own chains, right? And I think it'll go the same way. I think it's better to work on common rails for everyone agreeing on the standards, the underlying infrastructure, and then build good innovative solutions on top of it. But I guess it's
Yeah.
also philosophy, right? Which business strategy you want to follow
Yeah.
longer term, right? And what you want to give to your clients.
Yeah, totally. Is some clients need um, more privacy than others. They're looking for I don't know, specific blockchain for that type of needs. But I think these different islands, in case after when we launched the 7943, are islands that have wants to have that purpose. Not like before that. Well, we are or everyone is in different island because it's what we have. Like this is how the our world or geography looks like. Um, but yeah, I think that now that the specification is frozen, that's done. You know, what we needs to happen now is referent implementations. These implementations will be getting audit to be widely adopted, waiting for major custody platforms to announce support, and these support natively and other participants like Lexus in the in the in the ecosystem. And they will be like, okay, now it's final. Let's go for it without any fear of any change in the coming days, and we can work that to see what we can build in that sense. It's very exciting to know or imagine what can be built around this new standard in the ecosystem, and how these network effects will kicks in. I don't know what you expect, for example, or what are your early signals on these adoptions in the next 12, 24 months. Flo?
It's a good question. I think just the two of us adopting the standard, right, it already counts for a lot. That's a good percentage of the ecosystem that is moving over to the new standard. And then we have a lot of partners. I'm actually not, maybe you have the current count of companies that are supporting 7943 is quite a lot. Last count was more than 30.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more now. So if they are all if they are also switching over, right, then I think it's a significant force on the ecosystem that will be difficult to resist for other providers. So they will hopefully eventually have to follow the protocol as well, right? Hopefully they will be asked by their clients to adopt it and to support it alongside their own proprietary protocol, possibly, right? But that's fine.
Mm.
Just
Yeah.
we just need the clients to have the option everywhere to follow 7943, so we can create the interoperable ecosystem. I think then we will see a network effect. It will become so much easier for us to launch new functionality and to have a larger following using it, and something like distribution and liquidity should become easier also, right? Because a larger part of the investor base and user base are running on the same infrastructure and can actually interoperate on the same uh,
Yeah.
applications.
Because at the end, was like every participant was like pulling from their own side, and putting all this population on this different island without any ferry to move around, or hey, there is something nice in the other island. How we can manage there? There is the money, and here was the assets. How we launch this and connect that, and that is what all this endeavor will is pursuing. And I don't know if we have any questions from the audience for ending or closing this call regarding the 7943. Stefan? Stefan, I was asking if we have any question from the audience. I received one regarding the. Okay, can ERC-7943 tokens interact with existing DeFi protocols like Uniswap or Aave, or does compliant logics block that? Hmm. Okay.
Great question.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Well,
want to start?
do you wanna answer, Claude?
No, you go first.
Okay. Well, indeed, right now they can use it because we just launched it. But what the standards allows them is to understand how they can manage this asset. What are the rules where they can exchange this asset? So this gives them the path for start moving these type of assets, real world assets in their platform. So for sure they can review and see what product they can build around this 7943 and be have like this KYC um, or know your customer DEX experience for this type of assets. You want to add something, Chloe?
Yeah, I think it's important to understand that in principle they will be able to use it, right? But they don't have the licenses typically to trade securities or transact with
Yeah,
securities, right? So it's not going to happen, I think, in the short term. I think they
yeah,
don't want to get the licenses either because they don't want to get into the security space. But
yeah.
reality, the
Is
crypto space is getting increasingly regulated to the same degree, so it's not going to make a big difference, I don't think. So they will realize that eventually, and then they will come into the security space as well, and you will
yeah,
see the ability to transact with securities also in those applications, right? And especially, I would say someone like Aave is already testing it out, right, and have been doing uh, secure tokenized pools with tokenized securities for lending to a small degree. But so it's coming, and I think that some of the big guys are getting licensed at the moment and are looking into it. It's coming.
yeah. Let's say
Hopefully they
that
will use 7943.
yeah, it's like we talk about these blockers, right? We have technical blockers, we have operative blockers, we have regulatory blockers. Let's say that we deblock the technical part with 7943, then each of these players need to know the regulatory blocker for them to move that or to do their business around this type of assets. But yeah, in the technical side, they could do it. But as Claude is saying, many of them are also pursuing licenses to be and deblock other things. So yeah, very good question. Um, I have another. Okay. Well, now this is Stephanie. Stephanie is our moderator in the platform of StreamYard, receiving all the messages. Give me a second. The ERC-7943 standardized compliance behavior at the transfer layer. What is that actually? The bottlenecks for RWAs? Okay. Well, yeah. Well, we have, as we discussed with Claus, we have different bottlenecks in what is RWA. But one of the biggest one was the compliance layer in the sense of um, different approach or different standards managed like an out of the box schema. Like this is how the compliance is managed. And this can be applied to all the asset, every asset, or to every jurisdictions, depending. So, and after that, the many are being proprietary and was much complicated to implement also. So at the end, what design tree looks is to define the interfaces, a common interface in different assets that you can attach, and then you can, okay, this is how we can gonna communicate. These are the rules that we are following, and this is what you expect on each of these methods. So this is one of the bottlenecks that I think is going to be resolved by the technological part. But yeah, still existing other bottlenecks around the world. Some jurisdictions have more bottlenecks than other, but it's something that I think in this early stage of where we are building is going to start like deblocking, right? I know. What do you think, Claude?
Was the question about the bottlenecks relating to transfer restrictions and so on?
Yeah, I think they mean about the standardization of compliance behavior at the transfer layer. Is that the actually bottleneck for RWAs?
I don't think so. It's a good question.
Yeah,
I don't see it as a bottleneck, really. I see it as a necessity, right? If you compare it to utility tokens where you can avoid transfer restrictions and any sort of requirements in that uh, area, right, then of course it is a bottleneck, but it's just unavoidable. You shouldn't compare what we're doing to utility tokens, I don't think, or to stable coins, but you compare it against the existing financial industry and how they are doing. That's who we should be compared with, I think, when we look at how we innovate and how we increase liquidity, transferability, interoperability, the ability to transact efficiently, right? And with a lot of the decision making being on-chain, fully automated, that's what we are striving at. It will never be fully as free and flexible as a utility token, but that's also not realistic.
Yeah, I agree with you, Claude. Also, it's many points that we want to resolve, but one at a time. And many are others that we can like directly resolve from our side. So we put our hands directly on what we can give our, you know, our expertise and know how to solve something that we see that is a pain point. And that is what we work. How do ERC-7943 address the source of truth problem rather than adding another layer on top of unresolved foundations? Okay, address source of truth problem. Do you want to answer this, Claude?
You feel free to start. I'm
Hmm?
actually not 100% sure what they mean.
Yeah, it means like is real this assets type that we have, or this is like the
Okay,
original?
does it exist? Yeah.
Yeah, another layer on top of resolved foundations. We are not like adding a new layer on this. What we are adding is how we're gonna communicate. Adding a new layer will be adding different I don't know protocols in between, etc. What we are providing through the 7943 is that the ones who manage the sort of truth could connect their information with the token in the way that they have to manage that, or the compliance matter that they have to connect, not in the way that somebody else defined for them and then have to break their head in how to do it. So integration will be easier for sure. So we want to help in that sense, and at the same time be retro-compatible with other standards, so they don't have to work around. That was one of the biggest challenge or the things that we have to be reviewing. As I say in the last calls on in the reviews, hey, we are compatible with this standard. We are compatible with that another standard. So that is something that we've been thinking about and see how we can work around it. You know, Claude.
Yeah, it's actually a good question. It's also a philosophical question, I think, of what is our responsibility and what is the responsibility of others, right? It's something we discuss relatively often. But I think at the moment, I think it's basically very much the responsibility of the issue or the user of our platforms to make sure that the property exists and has the value that they guarantee and so on. And for legal reasons, actually, often we can't go into it, right? We're not allowed to take part in the deal itself and to provide custody services, for instance, right? It requires a license. So we have to stay as pure tech provider and hope that our platform will be used in a good and safe manner. But with that being said, I also know that there are chains and solution providers working on more, would say, custody-based solutions to have investor protection and investor safety and investor trust. So you have chains where you have some degree of appraisal for the underlying assets built into the system or custody requirements and so on. You have custodian business models where they can actually to some degree guarantee the existence and value of a property, for instance. So I think it's an area that we're going to see some innovation in the future. Of course, we will never be completely free of risk, we will never be able to completely remove the risk that a property exists and has the value that is promised on our platform. But I think we can get a lot longer than we are presently.
Yeah, and many other players are looking into resolve or make more, let's say, trustworthy like these assets exist, like proof of to prove that they exist. Chainlink is doing in many different projects, but definitely is something that in this scenario on digitalization, we as technological providers, we manage who they are, etc. And the project is legit, it's okay. But as in different scenarios, as TradFi, many times like, what is the source of truth of this? A paper, I don't know, a publication in a newspaper. They really is very complicated thing. Um, indeed, I have a last question before we finalize. That is, what happened to platforms that don't adopt the standard? Do they get left behind, or can they bridge in later?
They
Um,
will go out of business, I think, in a few years.
yeah, they can join whenever they want.
Yeah, they can.
That is not a
They
problem.
can.
We are first movers on this, and we really was waiting for this final state to be able to provide like, okay, this is the final version right now. But yeah, if any participant feel that is getting behind because they don't did it like now, they can do it later. That is not a problem. It's not like a deadline to adopt 7943.
No.
We'll be there forever on this on the Ethereum repo. So anytime they want, they can check it out and see if it worked for their project. So I'm welcome and provide ideas in how
Yeah,
what we can do.
it's important to say it's a totally free, open, and independent standard, right? It's not controlled by any single party. Anyone can use
Exactly.
it, and they will not be locked into Brickken or Digishares ecosystems. They can create their own, but they will hopefully be interoperable with our clients.
Yeah, totally. And I think that we have really good questions, and then and with our conversation we cover today a really important part of what is 7943 on this state. And we are going from a fragmented proprietary landscape or to a frozen open standard, something that is like, okay, that is how we're going to manage going on this interface. Um, with the expectation or with the idea that this is going to help to the ecosystem to scale. Um, and yeah, it's something that we are achieving. What other conversation has been placing for many years about this, and now is a reality. So whoever wants to go deeper, as the one who was asking about these other platforms going behind, you can find all the specification on the eipsethereum.org, searching for 7943. And all the documentation is also in the ERC-7943.org. So there is all the info that you need directly to your hands.
And if you're work,
Klaus, I don't know if you have any final thoughts.
yeah, if you're working with another provider in the ecosystem that is not supporting ERC-7943, you should go to them and tell them that they need to support it.
Yeah,
Of course,
totally.
it's urgent for us. It's critical for us that we get more support for the protocol. But already now, I think we have more support than any other protocol out there, right? But we need to
Yeah,
keep it moving.
it's crazy. Like everyone was looking for this and was pushing and collaborating to make it happen. So
Yes.
it's a teamwork effort, and it's
Kudos
amazing.
to Brickken for kickstarting everything.
Well, it was fun to display and see what we can build together. And thanks to everyone who participated on this. To Dario as one of co-authors, is co-founder of Brickken. And yeah, we have all that ideas, and then we share it with the community and the ecosystem, and was validated, and we gave and we received a lot of feedback on it. So it's a really nice moment. So thank you, Claude, to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for joining. Please follow the shares and Brickken for any updates as we are moving into production and adoption. So see you
Yeah.
next time. See you, Claude.
Thank you. See
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye bye.